Okay, guys, this is going to be your first notes on Rome. We'll have filled in the map in class. There will be a blank version of the map and a completed version of the map available on Fusion, so you can get that from there. There are a couple of things geography-wise that you do need to know. Just generally speaking about Rome. Alright, Rome is very centrally located in the Mediterranean basin, and it's distant from other eastern Mediterranean powers. So let's just glance at this real fast. Rome is going to be right smack dab here in the middle of the Italian boot. Now, we've talked about other Mediterranean powers so far. We've talked about Persia. Oh boy. We've talked about Persia, which is going to be over this way. We've talked about Greece. We've talked about Egypt. Eventually, when Alexander rises, he takes over territory this way and goes in that direction. That's our Eastern Mediterranean powers. None of them ever really get past Greece. So Rome has the chance to develop in a little bit of isolation. This is a good thing. Alright. Roman civilization is centered on the Italian peninsula. Obviously, we just talked about it. That's the big high-heeled stiletto boot right there. And then the Alps mountains are going to provide protection from invasion in the north, at least for a period of time. They're very hard mountains to cross, and they cut off the peninsula. So on our map, again, the Alps are going to stretch all along here, which is going to help, again, further isolate Rome. Rome developing isolated is a good thing. It allows it to develop on its own without a whole lot of outside influences. And then the Mediterranean is actually going to provide protection and an avenue for seafaring trade. So let's again look back at the map. They're right there in the Mediterranean, but they're in the middle of the Mediterranean. They're not really close to anything. So it's going to provide protection. If you think about it this way, when we're talking small ships, if I'm trying to bring an invading army from Carthage or from Greece across the Mediterranean, I've got to take ships across a lot of water. Because, I mean, you're talking maybe 50 troops on each ship plus their equipment. That's a lot of ships to sail across the Mediterranean and keep track of and not lose them. It's very, very hard to take large armies across water. If we think back to Greece in the Persian War, Xerxes took his large force over land because he couldn't take them across water, whereas Darius in the First Persian War in 490 took a smaller force across and landed here, and that's why he was defeated at Marathon. Same principle is going to apply. But now when it comes to trade, where you're only talking 1, 2, 3 ships moving goods at a time, they are right smack dab in the middle of the Mediterranean. North Africa is reasonably close by. Greece, Phoenicia, Jerusalem, Egypt, all of these areas are not too super duper far away. So they're in a good place for trade, and they get protection from outside invasion. And that should have been... That's what I thought. Alright, moving on. Roman mythology. Now, Roman mythology is based on Greek polytheistic tradition. Alright, if you go through Roman mythology, there is actually the Roman belief that the Romans descend from the Greeks. You hear the tale of one Romulus and Remus, and in that story you'd have two Greek princes who are cast out by a jealous uncle, kind of a lot like your Lion King story, and are raised in the wild by a she-wolf. I mean, cast out when they were babies, raised in the wild by a wolf, a female wolf. And Romulus and Remus grow up on the banks of the Tiber River, and when they finally become of age, they decide to start a city there and start a civilization, and that city becomes Rome. So the Romans do trace their mythology and their beliefs and origins back to Greece. Alright, Roman mythology, like Greek mythology, is going to provide explanations for natural phenomena, human qualities, and life events. So just like with the Greeks, anything that happens is considered to be an expression of the gods. Symbols of Roman gods can be found today in literature, art, and architecture. And our Roman gods, our Roman pantheon of gods, are going to come very much straight from the Greek gods. They're very much the same. They just have different names. Zeus was the Greek supreme god. Jupiter is the Roman supreme god. Ares was the Greek god of war. Mars is the Greek god of war. Venus is the Roman god of beauty, and the Greek god of beauty was Aphrodite. As you can see, they parallel, but they have slightly different names. The only one that has the same name between the two is Apollo. He is the sun god for all religions. Otherwise, they're same gods with different names. Now, the most obvious place where you've seen these gods or been exposed to them, if you listen to those names, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, is our planets. The Romans named our planets, and that is where they stick so far. So you'll see them there. You'll also obviously see them in literature and architecture, just like with the Greek gods. Very, very similar influence. And to fill out your chart, these are the QR codes. And that's going to be it for the set of notes.